Have you ever noticed how your performance changes when you're around other people? Social facilitation is the idea that having others present can actually make us perform better. But here's the catch. It usually only works for tasks we're already good at. Imagine this. You're shooting hoops by yourself and you're making most of your shots. Now picture a group of friends watching you. Chances are you'll sink even more baskets because their presence gives you a little boost. This is social facilitation in action. However, if you're trying to learn a complicated new dance move, having an audience might make you stumble. The added pressure can make us fumble on tasks that require more thought or practice. Social facilitation is a fascinating area of psychology that explores how our social environment influences our actions. Our understanding of social facilitation began with a psychologist named Norman Triplett. Back in the late 1800s, he noticed something interesting about cyclists. They rode faster when they were racing against each other than when they were racing against the clock. Triplett wanted to understand why this happened. He conducted an experiment where he had children wind fishing reels as fast as they could. He found that the children wound the reels faster when they were with other children doing the same thing, even if they weren't directly competing. This simple experiment was one of the first to demonstrate the power of social presence on performance. It suggested that simply having other people around could energize us and improve our performance on certain tasks. When we talk about social presence, we can distinguish between two main types, audiences and co-performers. An audience is a group of people who are watching us perform a task, while co-performers are people who are performing the same task alongside us. Both audiences and co-performers can influence our performance, but in slightly different ways. When we have an audience, we might feel more pressure to perform well, which can lead to either enhanced or impaired performance. This is known as the evaluation apprehension theory. We get concerned about how others are judging us. Co-performers can also create a sense of pressure, but they can also provide us with a sense of motivation and support. This is especially true if the co-performers are our friends or teammates. Whether we're performing for an audience or alongside co-performers, the type of task we're doing also plays a crucial role in how social presence affects us. Robert Zajonc, a prominent social psychologist, proposed a key idea about social facilitation. He said that having others present actually increases our physiological arousal. It's like getting a little jolt of energy. This arousal can be helpful for simple tasks because it makes us more alert and focused. Our dominant response, the action we're most likely to perform, gets amplified. Think about a task like running. If you're a seasoned runner, having people cheer you on might give you the push to shave a few seconds off your time. Your dominant response is to run well, and the presence of others intensifies that. However, this same arousal can be detrimental to complex tasks because it can make us feel anxious and overwhelmed. If you're trying to learn a new language, having someone watch you might disrupt your focus and make it harder to recall vocabulary. The arousal interferes with the complex mental processes needed for the task. Section 5, from stadiums to offices, social facilitation in action. Social facilitation isn't just a theory confined to lab. It shows up in countless real-life scenarios, shaping how we work, play, and interact. In the world of sports, athletes often perform better in front of a crowd, especially in individual sports like track and field or swimming. The cheers of the audience provide an extra surge of energy. However, in team sports like basketball, where complex strategies come into play, a heightened sense of pressure from the crowd can lead to errors. The workplace is another prime example. Some people thrive in open-plan offices where the presence of colleagues keeps them motivated and on task. However, for those engaged in complex problem-solving or creative tasks, the constant buzz can be a major distraction. Even online, social facilitation is at play. Think about how much faster you might work on a project if you know your progress is being tracked online, or if you're collaborating with others in a virtual workspace. Section 6. Why we rise and fall in front of others. Exploring the theories. Why does social presence have such a powerful effect on us? Researchers have proposed several theories. One is the mere presence theory. suggesting that we're biologically wired to become more alert and responsive when others are around, regardless of whether they're evaluating us. As mentioned before, the evaluation apprehension theory focuses on our anxieties about being judged. We strive to make a good impression, which can boost performance on tasks we're good at, but hinder us on unfamiliar ones. The distraction conflict theory posits that the presence of others is distracting, creating a conflict for our attention. This can be beneficial for simple, overlearned tasks where distraction prevents overthinking. However, for complex tasks that require our full cognitive resources, this conflict can be detrimental. Lastly, the self-presentation theory suggests that we are driven to present ourselves in a positive light to others. This desire can push us to perform better when we are confident in our abilities. Conversely, it can lead to anxiety and poorer performance when we feel less sure of ourselves. Section 7. Mastering the social stage: practical tips for everyday life. Understanding social facilitation can help us navigate everyday situations more effectively. If you're about to give a presentation, practice it thoroughly beforehand so that it becomes second nature. This will help alleviate anxiety and allow you to feed off the energy of the audience. On the other hand, if you're tackling a challenging task that requires focus, try to minimize distractions. Find a quiet space where you can work without an audience. If you need to work in a shared environment, consider using noise-cancelling headphones to create a more focused atmosphere. Remember, not all social presence is created equal. The support of a trusted friend or colleague can provide a very different experience than the scrutiny of a critical boss or a room full of strangers. Choose your practice partners wisely. Section 8. Lingering questions, controversies, and future directions. While social facilitation is a well-established phenomenon, there are still many unanswered questions and areas of debate among researchers. For example, there's the question of competition. How much of social facilitation is driven by the mere presence of others, and how much is fueled by a desire to outperform those around us? Another area of inquiry is how our relationships with those present influence our performance. Do we respond differently to strangers versus familiar faces? Do supportive audiences lead to better outcomes than critical ones? Further research is needed to fully grasp the nuances of social facilitation and how it interacts with factors like personality, cultural background, and the specific demands of different tasks. Section 9. Harnessing the social advantage: conclusion. Social facilitation is a double-edged sword. It can elevate our performance on tasks we find easy and enjoyable, propelling us to new heights. Yet, it can also lead us to stumble when we're grappling with unfamiliarity or complexity. The key takeaway is this: be mindful of the power of your social environment. By understanding the principles of social facilitation, you can strategically leverage its benefits and mitigate its drawbacks. If you have a well-rehearsed presentation or a skill you've honed through practice, embrace the energy of an audience. Let their presence fuel your performance. But if you're venturing into unfamiliar territory, create a space for focused concentration, minimizing distractions and pressure. In the end, by mastering the art of social facilitation, we can all learn to shine brighter on the social stage.